Chapter 28. Shara looked closely at the hieroglyphs etched into the stone wall. A flicker of déjà vu passed over her. Blurred sequences of memories slid through her mind like foggy dream fragments. She had seen some of these signs before on the old parchment her mother kept hidden away. Once she had dared to ask about them, curious beyond restraint, but her mother had only smiled with that cryptic look and said, "The time has not yet come for you to know." Now, standing here in this ancient chamber, her eyes scanned over the intricate symbols, each one stirring echoes within her. She illuminated the carvings with the flickering torch she still held in her hand, despite the fact that the room was already lit quite well by the two massive torches burning in the middle. She couldn't help but wonder, were the symbols on her mother's parchment the same as the ones now before her? Were these truths her mother had hidden all this time? She asked the question that burned on her lips, not out of curiosity but as a way to shield her thoughts, to distract herself from the flood of emotions rising within. "What are we doing here?" she asked flatly, her voice calm but tight. "You're meeting your destiny." The words dropped like a stone into a silent lake. Shara stiffened, her whole body tensed and her thoughts stopped. That voice, impossible. It couldn't be. And yet... "It's been a long time, hasn't it?" The familiar voice echoed again through the chamber. Andrew turned toward her just in time to see the torch slip from her grasp and fall to the ground. Shara didn't move. Her back remained to them rigid and frozen. No. It couldn't be him. That was impossible. She had seen him die with her own eyes, brutally, mercilessly killed by a band of Asharis. He hadn't even had the chance to defend himself. She had watched him fall, and yet, this voice, it was his. She turned slowly, agonizingly slowly, as if any sudden motion might unravel the world around her. It was the kind of turn made by someone afraid of what they would see. "No," she whispered. There he was. A tall man, his skin a warm brown, his eyes as dark as night. His smile was soft, sweet, filled with affection, just like it used to be. It was him, no doubt. He stood there, completely alive, completely real, flanked by Sakura and two other Asharis. "But you're dead," Shara said at last, her voice shaking, filled with disbelief. "You died. I saw it." "That's a long story," he said, stepping toward her, his eyes fixed on hers. "One I promise to tell you when the time is right. But for now, we have something more important to do, and I need your help, love." He stopped just in front of her, so close she could feel his breath in her face, so close she could almost hear his heartbeat. But still some part of her refused to believe it. Tears filled her eyes, distorting her vision. Everything around her began to blur. "I had to do it, love," he said gently. "You weren't ready then, and neither was I. But now the time has come. After tonight, you'll know everything. Everything you ever wanted to understand. But right now, we have to go. All right?" She nodded before she could stop herself. Instinctive, automatic. Her heart responded, even though her mind screamed that it couldn't be true, that this couldn't be real. It was the same man, and yet not the same at all. Satisfied, Ignatius, no, not Ignatius anymore, turned, gesturing for them to follow him. The two Asharis obeyed immediately, falling into step behind him. But Shara remained still. So did Andrew. He had been watching her carefully the entire time, his eyes never leaving her face. He saw the flickers of confusion, of pain and disbelief. He walked closer to her gently. "Shara," he said softly. She turned to look at him. Her eyes were clouded, her thoughts spinning. Her heart was beating fast. She started walking, following the others. Her steps were heavy, moving on their own accord. Andrew fell in behind her, and Craven behind him. The small group moved deeper into the tunnel, this one wider than the others, lit by more torches fixed along the walls. As they walked, Her thoughts unfurled like the winding path ahead. Memories played across her mind in vivid detail, moments she had long buried, the times she had spent with him, his strange, secretive behavior that she had once found it charming, part of his mystique. How foolish she had been. And then, that night, the night everything had changed, he had begged her not to stay, told her she couldn't help, to run, to hide, to survive, promised he would find her again once it was over. But she hadn't listened, not right away. She had hidden, barely out of sight, in the stables among the horses. And from there, she saw everything. She saw him fighting, saw him fall, saw them destroy him. The guilt had been suffocating. She had run like a coward. Later, when Daniel found her, she was a mess. He helped her, trained her, told her the truth about the Asharis, about the war. He was the one who had introduced her to Marius, who had brought her into the Hunters. She had fought with vengeance in her heart. She had killed so many Asharis, convinced she was fighting the good fight. For justice, for him, for the past. But was it all a lie? A hoax, orchestrated by the very man she had mourned? Why? Why would he do this? And Andrew, what was his role? Why had Ignatius brought him here? She glanced at him. The resemblance hit her once more. Could it really be? They came to a stop. A large stone wall blocked their path. Shira stepped forward. "Lord Kronos," she said slowly, her voice ringing through the silence. "You're Lord Kronos." Ignatius lifted his eyes and looked at her. "Ignatius was my name when I walked among humans. Kronos is more fitting for what I have become." "But Kronos," she said, her voice low and cold. "Kronos was defeated by Zeus, his own son." For the first time there was hesitation in Kronos' eyes. Did she know? Could she have figured it out? Shera's gaze hardened. The shock that had once filled her expression was gone. Now something else lingered, something sharper. Kronos took a step toward her. She noticed the small knife he held, but she didn't flinch when he took her hand. She didn't resist when he drew the blade across her palm, splitting her skin open. She barely felt the sting of blood spilling over her hand. Andrew moved behind her, concerned and alert. Their eyes met. In his gaze she saw something new, not confusion, not fear, but clarity and focus. He was watching her closely. He understood that for now, he needed to wait. Kronos guided her bloody hand toward a point on the wall. As her fingers pressed into the stone, she felt it. Beneath the layers of dust and ancient sand, a metal disc, cold and smooth. Then something shifted. The disc clicked. The wall began to move. Kronos' eyes lit up. He was close. So close. Everything he wanted was beyond that wall. And now Shera and Andrew were both with him. The two pieces he needed to unlock his destiny. This was the moment.